Class is open. I'm going to take a pencil and I've got the taping coat on here, and then I got a topping coat on there. Now we're going to do a skim coat. But before I do that, I'm just going to circle this so it's a little bit easier to see. On the video screen. Okay. That way you can get the idea of what I'm going to do next. I'm not going to put any mud on here just yet. I just want to explain some stuff. Now once I get up here to put my mud, I'm not going to just put it just beyond that line and pull here. What I've got to do is I got to bridge that over. I got to go from there to about there, and I want to float it out way further than this pencil mark because I don't want to have a bump up here. If you can imagine a flat ceiling here, and then if I stop there, if I were to bridge this out, you would have a bump here if I didn't put any more sheetrock mud on there. So what we're doing is this area here next to the pencil mark, it sticks out down just a little bit more than the existing ceiling. Now you can take this whole concept to a wall too, but we're doing a ceiling here, so just keep that in mind. Take the concept to wherever you need to go. Now we're going to take this. If we were to just put mud right here, you'd have a hump in your wall or your ceiling, okay? So we're gonna once we put mud on here, we're gonna bridge that over. We're gonna go out probably another 8 inches or so. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go from here 8 inches over, and we're gonna taper it down. From this point down to nothing over here. So this patch is gonna end up getting bigger, but that's okay. I don't mind that because I don't want to see this when I get ready to paint. And after I get done painting, oh yeah, there's a patch right there. So if I bridge this out, you're not going to see this patch at all. It's just going to blend on down. Now if you were to put a straight edge from here all the way out here, yeah, it's not going to be perfectly straight. But we want to trick the eye, and that's what we're going to do. So, and as we put this up here, we're not going to have hardly any mud over at this point. So when we put our knife up there, we're going to put more pressure there than we are over at this point, so that we're kind of dragging that as we're going. But we're going to do that over the entire patch. We're going to put some on here, put some on here. When we get up over here, we're going to go all the way over to about the light fixture, tapering it over. Okay? So as we do that, we're going to have our finger over on this side, because we want this edge, this edge here, up tight to the wall. And we're going to float this edge just a hair, not very much. So you're going to put a little bit more pressure there as you go. Okay, does that all make sense? We're going to keep doing that over here. We're going to float this over here. We're going to keep our pressure over here so that we're pushing up on this point, and then we've got this edge just barely floating over that, and then we'll blend it. We'll be able to blend it right in. Okay? Let's get to work. One more thing I want you to grasp here before we get to work is when I put this mud on, I'm not going to put very much on. It's called a skim coat. We've already got this flat, okay? We're gonna clean up the edges here. We're gonna blend this over. We're gonna float this over, and we're hardly going to put any mud up there at all. But it's going to bridge this area. It's going to make this all nice and smooth. Because we're not putting very much on, we're going to prevent any bubbles from coming up on the mud. Now, if you were to put too much mud up here, and if you think, okay, well, what's the difference? I got it smooth. I did what he said. It's all nice and smooth. How come I'm getting bubbles? You know, you're going to get air bubbles if you get the mud too thick. You don't want to get any bubbles on here. That's why we've got to put a very thin coat over this. And you'll get the hang of it as you go. But if you've noticed, when you put your first coat of mud on, you think you got it smooth, you got some little bubbles in there, that's okay on your first coat because you've got a lot of mud up there. You just naturally, in certain areas, you're going to get little tiny bubbles, and then you knock those off, and they make little holes and stuff, but then you can cover them up on your skim coat. And we've got a couple little bubbles up here that you can't really see that popped. We've got some little imperfections in this. This is not perfect where I did the patch, okay? But all those little voids are going to be covered up too when we do this tight skim coat. So when I say we're putting more mud up here, I don't want you to think we're going to put a whole glob of mud up here. It's going to be very thin. But we're doing it in such a fashion where once we get done, the patch is going to be about this big, way over here. We're almost going to use this line for our other edge, just beyond that edge. That's why I wanted to put that pencil mark up there so that you could see the actual concept of what I'm doing. Okay, so we're gonna be going way over here, and then when we get over here, we're gonna go way over. We're gonna go over about here. That's about how big our patch is gonna be. Way over like that. Okay, and then when we sand it, we'll blend it all in, and it's gonna look nice and pretty. There you go. Now we're ready to put some mud on the wall. On our ceiling, I mean.